Here's more of the Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.
And we're back on the Alice Stewart Show, 7:35, Wednesday morning after a big primary election night. Key race statewide certainly was the Attorney General's race on the GOP side. The winner of that race, Leslie Rutledge, beating David Sterling. She will join us in just a few minutes. She will be taking on State Representative Nate Steele, the Democratic Attorney General candidate. They will be facing off and heading into the general election in November. And joining us now, State Representative Steele joins us on the Royal Overhead Door Hotline. Representative Steele, good morning.
Good morning, Alice. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you could join us. And now the race is on, so to speak, and I want to get your thoughts and your comments and feedback on Leslie Rutledge winning the GOP runoff.
Well, first of all, I congratulate Leslie on winning the runoff. I've been through a spirited primary myself when I ran for the House, and I've now done it unopposed, and I prefer unopposed. But I congratulate her on a tough race.
It doesn't always work out the way you want, does it?
That's right.
And certainly the Attorney General's office has such a wide array of duties and responsibilities, and with this runoff, there have been key things that have come to the spotlight, and you have always tried to keep the focus on criminal justice, capital punishment, Act 570. I want to ask you about that. Capital punishment was an issue in the GOP runoff, and you have made comments in regard to Act 139, which deals with capital punishment. What are your thoughts on that?
Right. Well, I think all the candidates in this race support capital punishment in general. I think Ms. Rutledge and I agree that lethal injection is the best way to do that, and that act that you mentioned is from a bill that I carried in the legislature last session that tried to fix our lethal injection statute as it was after it had been struck down by the Supreme Court. So we're still working on that. It's a work in progress. I've worked closely with the Attorney General's office, the prosecutor coordinator's offices, and others in trying to draft a statute that will pass constitutional muster. And it has been ruled on by one circuit court here in Little Rock, but there's still a lot of work left to do.
And you also want to put a focus on just overall the criminal justice system in Arkansas. What would you focus on?
Well, Alice, I learned early on as a prosecutor that the primary role of government is to protect its citizens. And that's, of course, what the Attorney General does. And so I think that's the main focus of the job. That'll be the focus of our campaign in trying to improve the criminal justice system, release some of the prison overcrowding problems we've got, focus on some alternative sentencing like drug courts, and make sure that we have the room in our prisons to keep the folks locked away that create a danger to the public in general. And
that's so important. And a lot of times we talk about prison overcrowding, jail overcrowding, and it's a public safety issue is what it is. And we have overcrowding in these institutions, and these people get out, and it's a public safety issue. And with regard to Act 570, as you know, that provides shorter sentences for some property and drug crimes. Where do you stand on that, and will that be a focus in the general?
Well, I opposed Act 570. I cast a no vote in the House back when it was first passed, and I think I was the only Democrat to do so. And a lot of the reasons I did that have unfortunately come to fruition. We're seeing not only the same prison overcrowding problem, but even further prison overcrowding. And really unfortunately, we're passing a lot of the costs down to the counties. Our sheriffs are really frustrated by it. Their county jails are full, and as a result, they can't collect old fines because they can't hold any kind of county jail time over the heads of any minor offenders because their jails are full of people waiting to go to ADC. So we need some fundamental fixes in this system. And as I said, I think one of the focuses will be on drug court in my plan, and also mental health and some other issues that I think we can focus on in alternative sentencing to create room in those jails for the folks that need to be there. And
my guest is State Representative Nate Steele, and you've served as a prosecutor, a legislator. You're now running as a Democrat for Attorney General, and you've worked hard for fighting for families and state and communities. And clearly, as we've discussed, criminal justice and capital punishment are key aspects of your focus and this office, but there have been some issues that have come up with regard to the AG's office over the past few years, and they will be could be in your lap if you were to be elected. And clearly one of them, Obamacare. Attorneys general across the country joined together to question the constitutionality of that. As Attorney General, your thoughts on Obamacare in general?
Well, I opposed Obamacare when it was passed, and I'm glad that the state's attorneys general that challenged it did, because as a result of that, the Supreme Court said states did not have to expand Medicaid by directive of the act. And of course, as a result of that, Arkansas got a more creative expansion called the private option, which is a much more workable system than an outright expansion of Medicaid. So while I opposed Obamacare and I opposed the outright Medicaid expansion on record on both of those issues in the past, I supported the private option, and so that attorneys general certainly did make a difference in that act. And I think going forward, there is something to be said for state attorneys general being involved in actions like that. Although I think the primary role of the office is, as I said, to protect citizens. And
one other key issue that's a factor, as the role of Attorney General is to represent the state when cases are brought against the state. The voter ID law has been quite controversial, and what is your view on that?
Well, I think it is going to be a major issue facing the Attorney General's office, and I think we're going to have to wait and see what litigation transpires. Of course, the AG's office right now is defending that law. And that's the job of the Attorney General, is to defend the law whether they agree with them or not. I think I've said that several times, whether I agree with the law or not. My job as Attorney General will be to defend it, and that's what I intend to do.
All right. Nate Steele, Democrat candidate for Attorney General. We appreciate your time this morning. And you've got an important race in November. So I want to say best of luck, but even a more important event coming up in December. You're getting married.
That's right. We're very excited, and she's been a trooper through this process so far. We're looking forward to it.
Well, best of luck to you and your fiance on that, and we look forward to talking with you soon.
Thanks, Alice. I always enjoy listening to your show. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Representative Nate Steele, Democrat candidate for Attorney General. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Leslie Rutledge, the winner of the GOP runoff, joins us here in studio. This segment of the Alice Stewart Show brought to you by Arrow Plumbing. For all of your household or business plumbing needs, call Arrow Plumbing, 1-866-PLUMBER, or schedule an appointment online at arrowplumbing.net.
The Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.